Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Uttu Rants. Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1. What a massive result here for Newcastle United at St. James's Park against Manchester City. Obviously, Newcastle United were not in great form in the Premier League, losing a lot of fixtures this season and were quite low on the table as well. Before this fixture, they were just on 12 points. And they couldn't replicate their form from the Champions League to the Premier League. Obviously, in the Champions League, out of the 4 games that they played, and all the 4 games, to be fair, they performed very well. Even the game against Barcelona, it's not like they were outplayed. They did have their fair bit of chances and weren't dominated at all by the Barcelona front line. But apart from that one blip in the Champions League against Barcelona, they won their remaining 3 games, meaning they're on 9 points out of a maximum of 12. I think they're also in the top 8 in the table. But the form that they did have in the Champions League, they weren't able to carry it on in the Premier League. Going into this game, obviously, people know St. James's Park. It's a very tough place to play at for any away team, irrespective of it being an Arsenal, a Liverpool, a Manchester City, whether it was Barcelona also that day. Doesn't matter which team goes to St. James's Park, it's always a tough fixture. Um, because especially because of the support that Newcastle players receive. The support is wild. The stadium is always bouncing up and down, and the amount of noise that the supporters make for the players, it's a dream stadium to play in, because the boost in confidence, the boost in morale that a player receives from the support that the fans give is on another level. But reviewing this game, it was a beautiful game, honestly. The first half, although it was just nil-nil, it could have probably even been 2 or 3-1 or 3-2 to Newcastle, because both teams were very, very wasteful in front of goal. For Newcastle, Nick Woltamadi, that guy had 2 big chances in the first half and he fluffed both the chances. First one, a delightful cross in by Jacob Murphy into the head of Nick Woltamada. All he had to do was place it on either side of the keeper Donnarumma, and it would have been 1-0 to Newcastle, but all he could do was head it straight into the path of Donnarumma, who made the save. And another opportunity when Harvey Barnes put him through on goal. He could have maybe passed it, squared it to Jacob Murphy to make it a lot easier to finish it for Newcastle. But Nick Woltemara took the shot, and once again he places it to the left or right of Donnarumma. That could have once again been a goal for Newcastle. And then another massive opportunity was for Harvey Barnes. Jacob Murphy once again with a delightful cross into the box, and Harvey Barnes had an open net, and all he did was miss the whole target completely. Man City would have been counting their luck in those opportunities, obviously. But then after that, Haaland, in the second minute of the game, was put through on goal by Jeremy Doku. But all Haaland could do, he could see on-rushing keeper Nick Pope coming towards him. In my opinion, I think he panicked and took the shot prematurely. And his shot, he miscued the shot completely, and it was way off target. And Tino Livramento had enough time to even retrieve the ball from before the ball could even go out of play. That's how bad the shot was. Later on, Doku once again played a lovely pass to Nico O'Reilly, who made a beautiful underlapping run through the defense. Cut the ball back into the box. Erling Haaland, massive opportunity. All he could do was shoot it straight at Nick Pope. That was another big opportunity for Man City. And then just 3 minutes before the first half, Foden plays a 1-2 with Cherki. Foden played with Cherki. Cherki was on the edge of the deep, played a beautiful first time pass back to Foden. He was just outside the penalty box, the 6-yard box, and his shot was off target. Foden had to do a lot better in that situation, honestly. But going into the first half break, it was 0-0. And in the second half, the tempo of the game didn't drop at all. Newcastle players giving their all. You could see it. They were energized. They were getting more energized and more energized due to the support of the Newcastle fans. You could see in a lot of scenarios there that or situations wherein you could see the Newcastle players were tired, but then they always found that extra bit of energy. I don't know from where, but they were always committed to win the ball back or make a great tackle or not break the line that was set up by Eddie Hall today for Newcastle. And then obviously Harvey Barnes opened the scoring with a delightful finish from outside the box past Donnarumma into the bottom left corner of the goal, giving Donnarumma no chance at all. Beautiful finish by Harvey Barnes to make it 1-0 to Newcastle United. And everyone would have thought, oh my god, Newcastle looks like they're gonna park the bus and it's gonna be all over for Man City. But Man City winning the corner. Newcastle unable to clear the ball on two occasions far enough, and the ball landed into the path of Ruben Dias, and Ruben Dias half volleyed it through the legs of Fabian Schär, who was unable to keep it out of the goal, and made it 1-1. And then everyone probably thought, oh my god, no way have Newcastle surrendered the lead in just 5 minutes, giving Ruben Dias and Ruben Dias equalizing for Manchester City. The thought may have been that okay, now Man City may go on to win this game from now on, because they were kind of pushing Newcastle and Newcastle were on the back foot. But just 3 to 4 minutes later, ball was put into the box. I think it was a Volta Mada who won the header. Bruno Guimaraes won the header, hit the crossbar, fell into the path of Harvey Barnes. He took a touch and blasted it into the goal, making it 2-1 to Newcastle United. What a dream day for Harvey Barnes, scoring both the goals for Newcastle United, and it turned out to be the winner for Newcastle in the end. Although there was a bit of controversy, Man City players protesting that Bruno Guimaraes was in an offside position, and to the naked eye, it did seem like Bruno Guimaraes may have been offside. But VAR, obviously the people in the box or wherever the hell they stay, I don't like VAR, I'll be honest with you, but wherever they were, the officials there drew the lines and deemed Bruno Guimaraes onside, which was obviously a beautiful moment for Newcastle and for the supporters who went berserk. They were wild after that. And the stadium noise was on another level altogether. And then from then on, it was 5-5 formation for Newcastle, not letting anyone be in front at all. Any cross put into the box was cleared out. Any through ball played by Man City was blocked away. Any ball put into the box from the flank was either cleared out for a corner or headed outside. The one-on-one defending by Thiaw, Botman, who was brought on later on in the second half, and Fabian Schär was tremendous. Didn't give Haaland a sniff at all in the second half. Winning the ball clearly, blocking any shots taken by the Man City players. It was tremendous to see. Even the midfielders, Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, honestly, they ran their socks off today for the team. Running at any given point, carrying the ball deep into the Manchester City half with the ball. It was tremendous to see the passion with the passion that these Newcastle United players were playing with. Tonali winning free kicks in crucial areas, winning free kicks for Newcastle to stop the play, to slow down the play as well. Even Bruno Guimaraes made beautiful tackles, beautiful runs, playing some beautiful through balls into the path of Harvey Barnes, or later on it was Joe Willock, or also Jacob Murphy. Tremendous stuff by Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali, honestly. Even in when before Botman was brought on, the partnership between Schär and Thiaw was honestly tremendous. Especially Thiago, he was superb today. Nullified the Manchester City attack on his own. Honestly, him and Cher were tremendous. Cher winning the ball back in crucial areas, covering for Fabian Cher when required, and playing some. He was playing some decent passes, honestly. But Fabian Cher's long passes were tremendous today. Especially whenever he was switching play, either went from the left hand side to the right hand side or from the right hand side to the left hand side. Whenever they were trying to build an attack, or when City were overloading or pressing the Newcastle sides on the sides where Shea was holding on to the ball, he was successful on almost every attempt to find whether it was Barnes on the left hand flank or Lewis Hall on the left full back area, or whether it was him switching it to Jacob Murphy on the right wing position, or whether it was Tino Livramento on the right back position. It was pinpoint long ball passing, honestly, from Fabian Schär. Tremendous showing by them. Even later on, Newcastle obviously made some changes, bringing on Anthony Elanga as well as Joe Willock in place of Walter Mada and Harvey Barnes. They put a shift in, winning the ball, running all that they could. Newcastle were going long. These two were running all that they could, winning the ball back, trying to create something for Newcastle to try and find a third goal also. It was beautiful stuff, honestly, from Newcastle. But for Manchester City, yeah! Man City lose. It's a big result, honestly. Obviously for Newcastle, but also for Manchester United. Hopefully we can beat Everton and close the gap to Manchester City to 1 point. Okay, let's not get carried away now. But obviously for Arsenal now, win for Manchester City today would have meant that they would have closed the gap to Arsenal by just 1 point. And given that Arsenal tomorrow have a massive fixture against their all-time rivals, the biggest rivals, Tottenham Hotspur in the North London derby. A win today for Manchester City could have piled on the pressure for Arsenal going into the fixture tomorrow. But now Arsenal, a win tomorrow in the North London derby will put them 7 points clear of Manchester City, who everyone have deemed as their biggest rival for the titles this season. Obviously, given that Liverpool, the joke man, tings our cheeks this season, obviously they ain't going for no title charge at all. They're already out of the title race, so they ain't doing not in blood. So obviously I ain't talking about those bums. But obviously now Man City, it could be 7 points down after the game tomorrow at the Emirates. And Chelsea, obviously they are the closest in terms of points to Arsenal. They are 3 points behind them. And Arsenal, I think, with the win tomorrow, will be 6 points clear of Chelsea. But obviously, a victory is probably necessary for Arsenal, given that they have to play Chelsea next weekend at Stamford Bridge, which is obviously another massive fixture. But back to Manchester City. Jeremy Doku started off the game quite well. Great dribbling shown by him. Great through passes to find Haaland and Phil Foden, who are unable to take their chances. He was moving into the middle of the park, I think, very well, and driving with the ball. But later on, after around 20 minutes, Eddie Howe made some changes and made some alterations, which kind of cut down Doku, who was on the left hand flank, always being double teamed by Murphy and Livramento, giving him no space and time at all to execute his dribbling at all, or use his pace also against them. And it was beautiful defending, honestly, by Tino Livramento. He kept Jeremy Doku quiet, in my opinion. Even Cherki, he looked quite decent, honestly, Ryan Cherki. But Lewis Hall, once again, did a great job against Cherki, or whether it was Bernardo Silva who dropped into those positions. He was, again, superb, Lewis Hall. But City's midfield in the first half, they were probably, in terms of possession, obviously they were, you would expect Man City to hold on to the possession for a lot more compared to Newcastle. But in the first half, you probably would say that the edge was towards Man City's midfield compared to Newcastle. But in the second half, it was not that. Newcastle midfield just dominated Manchester City's midfield and crushed their hopes of coming back into the game by putting on a masterclass in defense. Even in the first half, um, I think obviously Man City's defense was very good. Um, I thought Nico O'Reilly did very well with his overlapping and underlapping runs, as well as winning the ball back in crucial areas. And even Matheus Nunes made some good runs up front and won the ball very well off Harvey Barnes for majority of the game. But in the second half, Newcastle United took their chances very well and put the game to bed with a Harvey Barnes winner in the 70. I think it was in the 75th minute of the game, and this is a massive result, honestly, for Newcastle, and horror result, honestly, for Manchester City now. They will obviously try to regroup, obviously having a game against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League midweek, and would love to bounce back next weekend in the Premier League. But then this is a result where later on in the year you could probably say if Arsenal do go on to beat Tottenham tomorrow, that was the moment where Arsenal kind of took the upper hand in the title race, and if they do go on to win the title by the end of the year, by the end of the season, sorry, you would probably say that this was the reason why, or this was one of the reasons why Arsenal did go on to win the Premier League title. But anyhow, I'm obviously super stoked. I'm so happy Manchester City have lost this fixture. And it was a delightful, delightful weekend. First watching Chelsea, then obviously Liverpool getting slapped up by Nottingham Forest. And obviously now Manchester City also getting beat by Newcastle United. I could never have asked for a better day than this. Anyhow, thanks for watching the video. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.